What is up, everybody? How is it going? Austin prechtelevate Performance, coming at you live. It is Monday, start of the new week, full of new opportunities. As you are tuning in, let me know how your day is going. Feel free to give this video a like, help other people see it, helps with the algorithm, and if you're watching at a later time, hashtag replay. That way I know you saw it. But guys, gals, everybody, we are about to talk about the concept of why. I don't know if you guys saw my post earlier today, but why a support system is so damn important. And if you don't have one, if you don't have the right support system, you're probably screwing up. You're probably screwing up. You're probably gonna have a hard time. Hey, Hope, how's it going? You're probably gonna have a hard time with your journey, making it tougher than it needs to be. And this is something that I think is super undervalued for a lot of people. Something that I think is super undervalued because not off, very like oftentimes we don't really think about like you know the people in our lives. We don't really think about the people in our lives making that big of an impact on our goals as they actually are. And a lot of times we're like, it's all on me. It's all like, it's up to me to make, this change. It's up to me to do this for myself, which is true. But you have to apply that same thought process to who you're surrounding yourself with. Because if you are not doing if you're not doing this and taking that like thought process towards your like who you surround yourself with, who is in your life, um, you're actually like slowing yourself down big time. You're actually like preventing yourself from actually like reaching your goals quicker or without having a lot of like tension and without having a lot of like stress and unnecessary stress and things like that. What's up, Lonnie? How's it going, Rhonda? Let's go. And so because of that, right? Because of that, honestly, like a lot of people, like I said, they slow themselves down. They don't reach their goals as quickly as they could, or they don't at all because they're surrounding themselves with people who don't uh, actually want the same thing, right? They don't actually want the same thing. And so I'm gonna start. I'm gonna open this like up with a quote that I really like, and I want you to apply it to your fitness journey, to your weight loss journey, to your journey of like becoming healthier. And it is if you're in a room, right? If you're in a room with five geniuses, you're probably going to become the sixth, right? But if you're in a room full of five dummies, you're probably going to become the sixth dummy, right? Which one would you choose, right? If you had the choice, which one would you choose? Would you rather be in a room full of five geniuses and become a genius? Or would you rather be in a room full of five dummies and become another dummy, right? And I'm not saying that if you're on a fitness journey or not, it makes you a dummy, right? That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying is if your goal is to become a genius, or if your goal is to lose weight, or if your goal is to lose fat, if your goal is to be healthier, right? It makes sense that if you're in a room full of a bunch of other people who want that shit too, that you're actually going to like become that person, right? We are a product of our environment. It's not just with kids, right? It's not just how we were raised. It's real life, like living proof, like right now as we're adults. Like that shit applies to us too, right? If you're in a room full of like sad fucks who are just constantly like whining and complaining about shit going on and like, misery loves company, right? Misery loves company. If you're in a room full of people who are just like sad and complaining and, who are like, being lazy or who don't want like what you want, you're gonna like absorb some of that shit. You're gonna like take on some of those things. The things that people say, who we surround ourselves with, like what we hear on a day to day, like the thoughts that go into our minds, right? That we hear and that we pick up on, like that shit impacts our like mental. That shit impacts like like what we tell ourselves on a daily basis. If you're like, because a lot of people, like a good example of this is like if you grew up with somebody who you had like a parent who was just like a jerk to you and always said you were worthless and said you were like a piece of crap or whatever it may be. Like if you were like grew up like hearing that all the time, guess what? Anytime like life throws something hard at you or you mess up, I bet that voice comes in your head sometimes, right? I bet that voice comes in your head sometimes because you heard that all the freaking time, right? Not in a good way. If that's the environment that you're in right now, where like anytime you're like, oh, I want to work out or I want to get healthier, oh, I want to eat healthier, and your significant other or like your friends that you hang out with or whatever they may be are just like no, that's stupid. Like, why would you want to do that? You're perfect the way you are. Like you don't need to do that. And like you're constantly in an environment where people are telling you that, you're probably not gonna like value that very much. You're probably gonna be like, yeah, you're right, or that's gonna be the voice that you hear all the time, where you're like, oh yeah, you're probably right. Like I probably, being healthy or like wanting this for myself is probably dumb, or it's probably not a good idea, or I probably shouldn't do it, right? Because that's the voice that those are the voices and the people that are constantly around you that are telling you that shit, right? So that's why if you're in a group of people, if you're surrounded by a group of people or you have a support system, it doesn't have to be necessarily like a fitness group. It doesn't have to be that. It could be like, surrounding yourself with like your loved ones that actually want you to like be happy and reach your goals, or surrounding yourself with with like, there's like shit tons of like Facebook groups or Reddit or like other like, groups that are like working towards similar things or enjoy similar things or want to get better about these things. And like, in terms of maybe it's weight loss for you, or maybe it's being healthier, or whatever it may be, there's support groups for everything. There's a reason those exist. It's because people get something out of it, right? People get a sense of like camaraderie. They get a sense of like, oh, I'm not doing this alone. They get a sense of like, like this is like there's other people, inspiration. Like I feel like it's possible for me because like I see all these other people actually doing it, and you're surrounding yourself with these things, right? You're putting like almost like putting like blinders on to like the bullshit that isn't going to help you get to your goals, right? It's almost like putting blinders on. It's almost like you're creating this like, bubble or this environment that's supportive of your goals, that's going to help you reach your goals faster. And if you're, surrounded by those people, like bringing it up, like, getting to your goals faster, optimizing your journey, if you surround yourself with those sorts of people, you're going to be less likely to fall off or fall off as frequently. Or if you do fall off, you'll get back on the wagon that much quicker because you're around all these other people who are doing the same thing, who are not letting the circumstances dictate the result necessarily. They are in control. And by, being around those people, you're going to pick up on some of those things. You're going to absorb those things. You're going to, start to think a lot of the ways that they're thinking. You're going to start to, act how they're acting. And so like, like a lot of times, like there's another quote that I really like. It's like, it's the same concept of like, being in a room with five geniuses kind of thing. You are the combination of the five closest people in your life. You're the combination of the five closest people in your life. So if you're like, think about the person that you spend the most time with, the five people, like on your hands right now, like count, like, think about those five people in your life that you are the closest to, that you spend the most time with, that you listen to, that you talk to the most. Guess what? You're all probably very similar in terms of like where you're at right now or what you're doing or what you guys enjoy, hobbies and things like that. And if you are surrounded by people who, if you're trying to lose weight and you want to lose weight and you're surrounded by a bunch of people who don't care about that stuff, again, I'm not saying that makes them a bad person or anything like that. I'm not saying that. But if you want something different than what they want and you're surrounding yourself with these people who don't want that, well, guess what? You just made your journey like 10 times harder than than it needs to be because you're not around people that want the same thing, right? And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with wanting something different than those people want. But if you want to really take a good crack at it and give yourself the best chance possible, you need to change your support group up, right? Like it doesn't make sense if if you want to lose weight or get healthier and you're constantly hanging out with people who just, go out and party and drink and eat like shit food all the time and don't work out. Guess what? You're making your journey a lot harder than it would be if you're hanging out with people who don't go do that stuff, who keep track of what they're eating, who care about what they're putting into their bodies, who care about going to the gym, and they like doing that stuff, and that's kind of like their lifestyle, right? Does that make sense? Like if you guys are listening right now and this makes sense, like, and this resonates, like let me know. What's up, Josh? How's it going, man? Hell yeah. But yeah, and so it's one of those things. It's like no shit, it's harder without those sorts of support groups, right? If you're constantly, having these voices, having these people, having these like, interactions and like hanging out, like, it doesn't make sense for somebody who wants to, get sober, right? It doesn't make sense for somebody who wants to get sober and quit drinking to keep hanging out with people who go out and drink, right? It's probably going to make it a hell of a lot harder to stop drinking if you're hanging out with people like that. Same thing applies if you're trying to lose weight. If you're hanging out with people who don't care about that shit, or who are constantly trying to like go out and eating fast food and like all this other shit, and they don't care about that shit, it makes sense. It's going to be harder for you to stop being overweight in that sense, right? Or get healthier or get stronger. It just that's how this stuff works. And so the sooner that you get into an environment that's conducive to your goals, the quicker you're going to reach your goals. So that's why, and I mentioned it in my post earlier. Like that's why I am in an environment. I'm in a mentorship program. I'm in a group where I'm surrounded by like some of the hungriest people in the world when it comes to being the best coach that they can be. And it's like it's inspiring as shit. It makes me want to be a better version of myself. It keeps me adherent to the shit that I know I'm supposed to be doing. It keeps me accountable on a different level because I'm in that environment. Same thing applies to you guys right now. That's why I did that for my clients is because I recognize like, wow, this is really fucking useful. Like this is helpful. This is like the next level shit. Why not do that for my clients? Why not create that next level like environment for them to where they can be surrounded by that? Where they can be surrounded by a place to share your wins and your struggles and not have to feel bad about it, to be around other people who are working towards similar shit. Like I work with a lot of parents. I work with a lot of busy professionals. I work with a lot of people who are, and that's why I help so many parents. And that's what this community is for. Is like you're a parent who's trying to lose weight. Oh, cool. We've got 20 other people in this group that are parents that are also working towards the same shit as you're trying to work towards, and they're doing it, even though their circumstances, aren't being, ideal for them sometimes. Man, that makes it seem like I can actually do it too. Man, it's cool that they have some suggestions that I didn't even think about that were blind spots to me. And now that I'm in this group and being around these other people, man, it just seems that much more doable. Like, does that make sense? Like that's why I think these environments and these like support groups or these like communities or whatever it may be that you're trying to get better at or to like reach that next level for yourself at or like identify with, it makes sense to like immerse yourself in that because that's what's going to get you to that next level. That's what's going to get you through this plateau. It's what's going to like look internally at first and be like like because at the end of the day you are in control of who you hang out with, right? If you're 18 like years old and up, you are in control of who you are hanging out with. Like you don't have to hang out with people if you don't want to. If you want to be somebody else, if you want to become like like associate with this new identity and step into that like that power of who you want to become, you can go do that shit. You don't have to hang out with the same shitty people you've always been hanging out with if they aren't helping you reach your goals that you want to achieve. If they're holding you back, if every time that you're like, I want to go to the gym or I want to get healthier or whatever it may be, they're like, nah, that's dumb. You shouldn't do that. Why would you want to do that? Like everybody's heard that shit before. Sometimes it's from the people that we care about the most. And that's when it's like, okay, like we need to talk or like get in alignment with each other here because I want to do this shit. And every time I say I want to do this shit, you try to hold me back. You try to keep me from doing it because you can't see yourself doing this stuff. And therefore you don't really, it's almost like a reflection of like what you think that, people are capable of or what, you're capable of. And you're like imposing that shit on me. And that's not going to fly because I want to level up. I want to be, my next level version of myself because it's what I want. And if they can't, like, if they don't vibe with that, if they and you're trying to like bring them onto your side and be like, hey, like I really care about this shit. Please, be supportive, or at least don't try to drag me down or try to like pull me away. Yeah, maybe that's not the relationship for you. Maybe that's not somebody you should have in your life, long term. Whatever. Like, if that's something you care about and it's a goal of yours and you really care about it and you really want it and it's like who the fuck doesn't want you to be healthier? That's like good for like I can't think of anybody in my life right now that I would want in my life who would tell me no, I don't want you to be healthier and happier and stronger and live longer. Like I don't like that. Like I don't want you to do that. Like yeah, don't go do that. Like is that not a red flag? Right? Is that not a red flag? Is that not a little bit like weirdly controlling? It happens. I, I talk to I talk to a lot of people on a weekly basis, and you would be surprised how many people have really like shitty, unsupportive partners or family members that don't want them to do that stuff, and that speaks more volumes about them than the person, but that person's still letting them be in their life and control them in that way. So yeah, that's just a little side tangent, but you know people like that. You might be that person, and if that's the case, don't let that shit happen anymore. Don't let that shit slide anymore. Don't let that shit happen to you anymore, because you deserve to be in an environment that's conducive to your goals. You deserve to be in an environment that's going to help you succeed. So yeah, and I'm not saying you have to pay for it to make it happen, but shameless plug. Our group's freaking awesome. Like it is. It's freaking awesome. The community's awesome. And so it's one of those things. It's like, but there's groups out there. Go Google shit. Like there's groups for everything out there. Like support groups for everything. Like, and if you don't feel supported right now, look that shit up. But that's all I got for you guys today. That's why having a support system, like why having like being in an environment that is like in alignment with your goals and what you want for yourself, like that's why it's so important. That's what's going to help you get to that next level. Like, because if you haven't done it yet, like if you haven't done it yet, you've been trying for a long time, like switch it up. Like it's clearly shit's not working. You need to switch it up. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. That's my live. Yeah. Do you feel supported right now? Let me know in the comments. Do you feel supported right now? What are you going to do about it to, get that level of support? If you don't feel supported right now, like you need to change that shit up, because that's holding you back big time. Like if you're not in a group that like if you're not around other people that want to see you succeed, or like aren't in alignment with your goals, that you're going down a lonely path. Like you're going down a very lonely path, and I've been there, and being lonely sucks. Like it sucks a lot, and that's why I love the group. I'm around a bunch of people now. I literally made my own group of people, that like a group up of people in community where I can talk about this shit and have fun with this shit, and like be like and talk about like nutrition and workouts and things like that. It's like I didn't have that in my life really all that much, other than the support from like having a brother who's also into like fitness and stuff. But other than that, I never really had that, and so I made my own damn thing, and maybe that's what you need to do too. Who knows? Anyways, guys, that's all I got for you today. Hope you have a good rest of your Monday. Let's start the week off right. Yeah, Monday. Got the rest of the week ahead of you to succeed and to make changes. So that's all I got for you guys today. I appreciate you for tuning in. Hashtag replay. If you're watching later time, feel free to share this so other people get an opportunity to see it. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. And I'll talk to you all later. See ya.